Hospital at 1. School sheet on our new in September, new book called Hot Wax and Novels, so she told us to plug that. Duration, Sunday, follows the Bram Stoker paper competition, xoxo at 1 p.m, where 3 students will deliver their papers on the life of past, Phil, present, and the author of Dracula. 2 teams, Brooke and Nottingham, debating finals, Lara, Chris, Kathy, and James. Last week, the motion, "This House regrets the rise of OnlyFans," was put down due no small part to the arguments of Megan O'Neill, who works within the industry herself. There will be no debate over the week, but Thursday, the following week, we will be hosting a more serious debate with the Student Economic Review. This House would give communism another shot. It will be a judge competition against another leading university debating team. Now, Anish, August and Oak, the House has proposed that it would sell out. These are the great moral choices of our time, folks. Every person in this room must ask themselves, will I sell out or can I stay firm? Only with pills and never in front of anyone. Leis an Cashin, Igri Gach Fear an Sha, Tona Nuikti, Krigna, you are all very welcome. August Tomage Rake and a Diaspora Sha, a Hussy.
Madam Treasurer, are there any new fines?
There are no fines.
Madam Secretary, are there any reports to be read?
There are no reports to be read.
The time for questions is now open.
Madam Secretary, are there any motions on notice?
There are no motions not on notice.
Madam Secretary, are there any motions not on notice?
There are no motions not on notice.
Time for questions is now closed.
This brings us on to general business. Are there any motions to be raised? There being none, that concludes private business. Our Secretary shall retire and return with the speakers for tonight's debate.
All rise for the speakers.
And call on the registrar to read the minutes of the last public business meeting.
I was with some of my relatives in West Cork this past weekend and quickly realised I was beginning to sell out my native accent for a more local one. I began to speak their way, parroting them, saying things like, "How's it going?" and mirroring, "Cork is the real capital, boy." Now, I have heard that as a sign of autism, but mimicking accents can also be a sign. I sold out of my accent because a lot of life is about salesmanship. Wherever we go, we want to try and fit in because we try and sell ourselves in social situations. I wanted to learn salesmanship, so I watched Wolf of Wall Street, and I learned something very special. I learned of all the drugs on a God's blue heaven. This one is my absolute favorite, okay? Enough of this shit. And you'll be able to conquer the world and eviscerate your enemies. That's right, the European Union. Right under the circle of stars we call Europe, you have the signature of Frau Ursula von der Leyen. 2 world wars they lost, and they're still at the top of the European Union. It really is quite impressive. And because of the EU, for the first time in millennia, European countries are at peace with each other. We've avoided another attempt of German domination by giving a German domination. It's quite German. Thankfully, we have nothing to worry about in the EU. It has been an untold economic success for our country. We have had to give up some of our sovereignty, but that's in good hands. The EU is packed with outstanding lovers of democracy. We have the Viktor Orban leading Hungary. We have recently Mussolini's granddaughter Alessandro in the European Parliament. And now we have the quickly growing AfD party in Germany. But if by some shocking surprise these forces turn against democracy in Europe, what will we do? We could invest in Ugluck na Heron, but President Catherine Connolly would be too afraid of the military-industrial complex. She'd want the money for housing or some other woke nonsense. On the other hand, as was a big issue in the presidential election, we had Heather Humphreys, who has never criticised the EU, so who'd we turn to if the far right rose? We could ask the next biggest EU country, France, well known for knuckling down when things get tough. But guys, we can't blame them really for selling out in the Second World War. I mean, if they didn't cooperate with Germany, all of Paris would have been destroyed. And think of all the typically French institutions that were saved. Liberté, fraternité, and racism. We, as Irish, understand that sometimes you need to compromise. I mean, if we actually stuck to our beliefs in neutrality, Shannon Airport could lose tens of jobs. On Choctaration Mulla Hort, this house would sell out. So as to tackle this question with the thoroughness it deserves, we have 6 excellent speakers joining us here tonight. On the side of the house proposing this motion, August Kuna Diaspora Shut Ohusu, we have from Comedy Sock Oscar DB. Give them a clap. We have law student Eve McGann. And from our very own Phil Council, we have Gabe Sheeble, closing for the opposition. Aaron Tave Ella opening for the opposition. We have English and philosophy student Matthew Hull. We have from Phil Schools team Tanvi Sethi. And to close the debate as a whole, we have Professor, Barrister, Fellow and Registrar of Trinity College Dublin, Gerfalchik and Professor Neville Cox. Acordia, be Kinsha. Our country is going through change. I say to you, no more selling out of principles. I believe we need certainty and we need clarity. Tomorrow, I will be sticking firm to my beliefs and voting for Catherine Connolly. So when I write number 1, Heather Humphreys, on the ballot, I will have no doubt Jim Gavin will do me proud. Good night round to all of them. We'll let the debate begin. Thank you.
The motion that stands before this House this evening is this House would sell out. Standing orders are as follows. Speeches are a maximum of 7 minutes long and 10 minutes for guests. After the first minute and before the last minute of each speech, which will be signified by a bell, speakers and audience members are free to offer points of information. We encourage audience participation at all of our debates, and if you hear something you like, you may shout "hear, hear" or "slay," and if you hear something you don't like, you may shout "shame." We prioritise respect and dignity at our events, and as a result, if anyone hears anything they do not agree with tonight, our senior member of council, Rossa Bulger, is down back dressed as a priest. Well, he will be around all evening. He's probably taking care of someone. And he will be at the reception this evening as well. He's contactable via smc@tcdphil.com. Alternatively, Liam is contactable via president@tcdphil.com. And with that, I call on our first speaker, Oscar DB, to open this debate.
Thank you. When I was 14, I thought Kanye West was the second coming of Christ. I seriously believed this. I was wrong. But it makes you think, maybe 33 years is enough for that kind of guy. Maybe call it at 33, Can you imagine how annoying Jesus would be if he kept going? Just doing whatever he wants. There's a MAGA era, make RMA great again. He's a blind man approaches him. Please work a miracle on me, Jesus. He makes him deaf. So that brings me to the motion of tonight's debate. Who saved us from Galatians 1 and 2 becoming vultures 1 and 2? From our Lord becoming our cringe Lord? But the first and most famous sellout of all time, Judas. Judas is just doing, That's wrong. Okay. For a measly 30 silver pieces, which in today's money is like 400 euro. That's pretty bad. Judas got scammed, poor guy. And he killed himself anyway. I don't think he even got a chance to ball out in the Agora or anything. Okay. My name's Oscar. I'm here, and I'm a sellout. Hello, welcome. I'm from Comedy Society here in Trinity. I know what you're thinking. We have a comedy society. Yep, we do, but we don't have free wine. We don't have prestige. We don't have attractive audience members. So here I am, selling out in the Phil. It's not really a debate this evening. Let's be honest. I'm here to farm clout. It's sort of a talent show for people with superiority complexes and 5 contact hours a week. Here I am. And as Trinity students, we kind of are sellouts a little bit. We sell out our campus to some brilliant tourists who we all love and appreciate. who traveled 12 hours to read one page of the Bible. Wow, a real intellectual crop. Okay. But selling out is a thirsty business. That's why I always have a Circle K iced coffee by my side. Anyway, that was weird. Okay. There's nothing more important than a sellout. The other day, a close confidant of mine asked me a very important question. They said, "Are you straight?" I said, "Isn't it obvious?" Okay, guess it isn't obvious. And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And they asked me, "How much money would it take for me to have sex with a man?" I thought maybe 20,000 euro, maybe, something like that. Some of you might think that's too much. Some of you would think it's too little. But I have to, I have to justify this to my male friends. So this homosexuality, it's commercial homosexuality. But to be fair, I don't have any principles against gay sex. I just would prefer not to. Okay. Kind of homophobic, guys. The dictionary defines selling out as a betrayal of one's principles for reasons of expedience, like going to the PAV Friday. The PAV Friday. I don't like going there. Sitting next to women on the bus. They may feel unsafe, but the men are smelly. Okay. Or prop comedy. It's gonna take so long. It's gonna be worth it. Okay. Pretty good. Pretty good stuff. Okay. The posters for today's motion features Leonardo DiCaprio. Have you seen Wolf of Wall Street? You guys seen it? It's a good movie. Jordan Belfort, really cool guy. He sells pens and gets Roadhead from Margot Robbie. It's pretty cool. DiCaprio is so old, and he only dates really hot children. That's pretty cool. That's the goal. Earlier today, while working on this speech, I had a measly 500 words, about 5 minutes worth. And so, in the spirit of this debate, I decided to betray my principles for reasons of expedience and consulted my good friend Copilot in Microsoft Generative AI. Okay, let's see what he has to say. What if Judas hadn't sold out? Okay, I guess he's talking about the Jesus. What if Judas hadn't sold out? Jesus might have ended up on a podcast with Joe Rogan talking about microdosing and carpentry. Sounds pretty cool, actually. That'd be pretty cool. I'd like that. We're all sellouts. We sell our time for degrees, our dignity for internships, our souls for swipe ups. I know I do. And if you haven't sold out yet, don't worry, you're just not valuable enough. The fuck? Copilot, that's kind of evil. All right. This house would sell out, and it would do it with a smile, a sponsorship, and a promo code, Jesus15, for 15% off your next betrayal. That doesn't make any sense at all. Okay. So tonight, I say thank you to Judas, thank you to Copilot, and thank you to the visionary who asked me to price my hole. I think it's pretty funny. I think it's pretty good. Yeah, I just said that out loud. Do you know why? Because I am a slave to your whims, your transient desires. I am a sellout. Thank you.
I'd like to thank that speaker for a very fine speech and call on Matthew Hall to open for side opposition.
you doing? I'm here tonight to implore you not to sell out, and I'm well aware of my intrinsic hypocrisy in advocating this. I'm a bogman on full Susie from the darkest depths of the north. I've already sold out just by standing in front of you here today. And I know some of you in the audience don't know what Susie is. I just wouldn't worry about that. I think things are going to be just okay for you. So I sold out my people the moment I chose to study English and philosophy here, instead of my vocation of plumbing and water technology at ATU Letterkenny. So forgive me for upsetting the order of the universe and my prenatal destiny. Do as I say and not as I do. In all seriousness, no, it's something that I think about a lot. I turn my mind to my great-grandfather who hid an anti-treaty IRA member from the Free Stater turncoats. I think of my granda who was kicked off the Harland and Wolff ship line in Belfast for being a Catholic. I think of my ma routinely harassed by the forces of the Crown on her way to school. I try to contextualise my being here with what they went through. My poor, suffering, devoutly Catholic mother, she bravely feigns pride, but I can see that glimmer of disappointment, betrayal in her eyes when she grasps the significance of it all, when she squares things, my being here, with a most checkered past. So this guild has really been directing my scholarship whilst I've been here, to be honest. And I've been going back recently to Aristotle's works because of his profound influence on Catholic dogma, via St. Thomas Aquinas, of course. And although my ma isn't acquainted with these names, they would be what she hears and heard week in, week out from the pulpit at Mass. And although I don't believe myself, I want something concrete to show for my betrayal. I want something that I can relate back to her and her world, something to hold in my hands and say, look, Ma, this was for you all along. So I'm desperate not to sell out ever again. I want to live the good life, the highest state of ethical being. So I've been fixated upon, obsessed with Aristotle's concept of eudaimonia, which touches upon these sentiments. Typical ancient Greek translators define this as flourishing, but through countless sleepless nights comparing textual translations, I've drawn some quite different conclusions. It should not be flourishing, but rather welfare. Welfare. That's substantially different. It's much more internally focused. And herein, I've found the key to the good life. How to live without compromising on a single principle that I hold dear. I've found a way to genuinely make my mother beam with pride. The pathway to not selling out is by going on the dole. So let's talk about that. Emancipation. Ridding yourself of the chains of this wretched Protestant work ethic. There's certainly nothing ethical about it. Slaving away for the man, waking up at 7 o'clock each day to arbitrarily move money around for a hedge fund so they can generate enough compound interest to drone strike a Yemeni hospital. All in the name of some innate deference to the oh-so-natural instinct of career building. Because that's what life is supposed to be all about, of course. That's what we're all born to do. You know what I say? I say that work is nothing but a four-letter word. It says absolutely nothing to me about my life. Why would you ever want to do this when you can receive free money for doing nothing, docked from the earnings of these career drones, or those of whom who pay taxes at least? 12 grand a year for free, with no sacrifice of one's principles. For additional financial viability, be sure to mooch off your parents. The inviolable Irish notion of familial duty means they'll never kick you out, they'll cook all your meals, and they'll cover each and every single one of your expenses. 12 grand isn't enough. Make sure to do some cash-in-hand jobs instead. People's lawns need to be mowed, their driveways to be terribly tarmacked. The world is your oyster. Get out there and make something of your life. Do something that actually matters and means something. Think too of the creative freedom afforded to you, once free from the quotidian of the 9 to 5, adhering to a sleep schedule that ensures you'll see absolutely none of that pesky sunlight, enables you to tap into a higher plane of being that will produce what will assuredly be the apotheosis of your artistic career. This is how the cream rises to the top. This is how works that will stand the test of time are made. This is how your progressive drum and bass tracks will be remembered as timeless anthems. Your decision to use the sound of a horse neighing as a sample in your track is not some act of sleep-deprived lunacy, but rather a stroke of pure genius. Soon the labels will come calling, begging you to sign a multi-million-dollar contract, not through serendipity either. And you'll tell them no. You're an independent artist with a DIY ethos who will not sell out for 30 pieces of silver, who refuses to commercialize a trademark sound of glockenspiels and beluga whale noises. In all likelihood, your reward will be 11 SoundCloud followers and a comprehensive knowledge of pirating music software. But it's the intention that counts. I'd like to leave this up on a profound note. Ludwig Holl was a Swiss aphorist, perhaps one of the most underrated writers of the 20th century. He was a complete autodidact. Everything he learned from outside the university sphere. One of the most startling takeaways from reading his material, the notes, is his conception of work, or Arbeit. Work meaning not to keep oneself mindlessly busy, to appear as if you're somebody to wider society, or as if you're keeping yourself busy, but it means to exercise your creative potential. He writes, "True laziness these days consists in dead movement." It's a stunning quote, so redolent of the zombified motions of those with nothing but money and status on the brain, who work jobs they either cannot explain or morally justify. Such people will fade into the ether. Nothing positive is constructed here. Folly that time will forget. Surely you can settle for a little less, live a little bit more modestly in a society so oversaturated with needless outlets for expenditure. Salvage even a slice of that creative part of your soul before it is too late. And furthermore, Ludwig Holl, well, he was a doll merchant. He never worked a day of his life. He lived off the income of everyone else. So that's your lesson. The dole is calling, answer the call.
I'd like to thank that speaker for a very fine speech and move on to our second opposition or proposition speaker, Eve McGann.
At my core, I am an idealist. I fundamentally believe that we would all be much, much better off dropping out of college, deactivating our LinkedIn profiles, unlacing our Doc Martens, and running away to live in the woods, raising future kids on the land without YouTube shorts, Amazon orders, and AI-reliant internships. However, I'm here on this side of the debate tonight because I didn't care what side I would be on. I just wanted to be here. So although I'm an idealist, I'm also a hypocrite. And this summer, I sold my soul to the devil. I also sold feet pics online, but that's its own thing. I joined the dark side. I crossed into no man's land. I left the comfort of the industrial, chain-smoking, metro-loving arts block to venture to a lecture called Introduction to Economic Policy in the beautiful Goldsmith Hall. That's right. This year, I dropped out of my English literature degree to study law and political science and go back to Trinity as a first year. Why did I do it? The answer is obvious. I wanted to make more memories at Dicey's on Mondays, Skint Wednesdays at Lost Lane, and D2 on Thursdays. This is my life now. But if I had done it for the money, which I definitely didn't, that would have been a huge mistake. because it turns out barristers don't make any. That's why my friend Neville is here tonight. Please give me a good mark in my essay. So I will be a broke sellout. And there are more of us around than you might realize. They say be careful because you are the company you keep. I get to keep a company? But anyway, who else is in this company? JD Vance, the poster boy for sellouts everywhere. Students who clap at the end of lectures. People who wear Apple Watches. People who go to the gym. People who clap at the end of lectures, wear Apple Watches, and don't go to the gym. People who talk to you in order to expand their network. Students who subscribe to ChatGPT Plus. Students who subscribe to ChatGPT Plus and LinkedIn Premium. Those who let Japanese tourists photograph them by the arts block for a small fee. I am no better than any of these people. I unfortunately am some of these people. This face and these feet are now known in Japan. But the term sellout allows us to get up on a high horse and point the finger away from ourselves towards someone else. There is no high horse available. I was actually hoping to get a hobby horse for this debate, but I couldn't even find that. But the term, most of us have a price at which we can be bought. And if we don't, then we have privilege. And if we haven't sold out already, it's maybe just because we haven't yet had the opportunity to do so. That's why we're here in college. So look around. The sellout is in the room with us. Hands up. Who signed up for Doobs or the Student Management Fund at Freshers' Fair this year in exchange for a slice of pizza? Go on. Now keep those hands in the air for the rest of this debate. This is not a safe space. But I have to admit, I was a sellout long before this debate, long before I left my arts degree, and long before Freshers' Fair the first time around. I became a sellout while working as a teenager in SuperValue in a deli. The deli had a high turnover. A meat slicer flecked bits of fat up into your face if the speed went above 1. An old man once ordered 3 slices of ham and then chucked these like frisbees one by one at us through the window. A coworker once asked me, "How racist are you on a scale of 1 to Nazi?" But I stuck it out. I rose through the ranks until one day my manager said to me, "Eve, the butcher didn't show up today. Can you fill in?" So I changed out of my black cap and my black apron into a red cap and a red apron. The blood of all the animals I expected to slaughter. I didn't tell anyone there that I was a vegetarian. And it was then that I learned an uncomfortable truth. I will be a sellout, and I will be one for minimum wage. But you should not judge me, because the sellout cannot exist without the buy-in. And the chances are, if you are not already a sellout, you are a buy-in. The two exist in a codependent relationship. We can't condemn people who do jobs we don't agree with if our actions speak otherwise, or if those very jobs enable our consumerist lifestyles to continue. Ignoring this fact and calling other people sellouts allows us to have a sense of moral superiority that rests on nothing. Jeff Bezos and the people who work for him, yeah, total sellouts. But hands up, who here has bought an item from Amazon? Now, keep these up for the rest of the debate. The people who raised their hands the first time, hold both hands up. But I am not saying this to put the onus on the consumer, and this does not mean we can't condemn the actions of multi-billionaires like Jeff Bezos. We absolutely can, and we should, but we also have to acknowledge the part that we play in our own hypocrisy. It's hypocritical because most of us already do jobs that inflict harm, either to others or the planet. We just might not be getting rich from these jobs, but we still aren't doing them out of some moral instincts. The deli generated so much waste every single day and definitely contributed to our ranking as the third most obese country in the world. So I was doing harm. I was just doing it for a very small salary. I was simply an unsuccessful sellout. So this house would sell out. Frankly, because we already have. I was a vegetarian who once worked as a butcher. We all have a price, but claiming that we wouldn't sell out allows us to judge others for doing so, and in turn allows us to ignore our own complacency, to pat ourselves on the back for holding firm and fighting the system from the seat of our IKEA couch, and alienate those we deem sellouts, so the boundaries between us become reinforced and then nothing ever changes. We are all either selling out, buying in, or riding around on a high horse with no money, like this. And out of these options, I, an idealist, pick the secret fourth one, the woods. Meet me there. Thank you.
I'd like to thank that speaker for a very fine speech and call on Tanvi Sethi to continue for side opposition.
Good evening, everyone. Today I, Sister Kathy De Von Left, I'm here to bring you peace, to bring you hope, to be the bearer of Lord Jesus' blessings and wisdom. Because it took me 18 years to become a nun. God forbid the things we do for student loan. But in my 18 years, I have never seen such greed, such selfishness, and such housing crisis. I think it's time we accept that this house will not sell out because nobody can afford it. What do I care? Us nuns, we never sell out. All these young girls, they go against their values and make the bar lower in hell for men. Like, yes, girl, give Chris another chance. Boy who can't do his own laundry, let alone satisfy you, will provide. He'll provide for you and your kids. Just fine. Just so you know, God has never disappointed me once. Some might even say, he is my sugar daddy. Whatever that means. But don't you worry. Jesus still loves you. All you need to do is ask for his forgiveness. Repeat after me. Oh, loving Father, please forgive me for my sins. For the back shots from last Friday and posting it on Tringe. My AI-generated TikToks and bland overpriced drinks, broke boyfriend feed pics, and 6-7 clicks. All that saying I'm cooked, then skipping lectures for the fill. Oh, nobody's repeating. Is this thing on? What can I say? Oh, Jesus. What can I say? We have come from putting billionaires, celebrities, and politicians up on the pedestal, and everything from Nazi propaganda to ChatGPT girlfriends. If there's one thing we should have learned by now is we're all fucking stupid. If we're still selling out when 20-somethings are making money off of the mass attention deficit disorder pandemic, and even a coin called Bit is worth 93,735 euros. If we're still selling out when hating on old rich men is socially acceptable, and there's no complaints of closet space because my prison cell of a flat doesn't have a closet at all. If we're still selling out after being hit on by a man in his late 50s at a bar who offered to become my sugar daddy because you're the most beautiful nun I have ever seen. If we're still selling out, I fear, in the words of Lord Jesus himself, we're cooked. There might be no better way for us to function efficiently as a society than capitalism, but that doesn't mean that all the ways it serves us are morally wrong. Yeah, don't go about making a fortune off of defects of an entire population. Thank you, Mark. But you have heard of that girl importing weed from Bangladesh? Is she here tonight? I didn't tell you that. But I'm not making this up. It's in the Bible, by the way. Minaj 67:10 verse. When he come up in the club, he be blazing up. Got stacks on my deck like he's saving up. Maybe it's time to start saving up. And if Jesus was alive today, as you said, I'm sure he would make you deaf, but for a reason. And Judas, oh, don't even go there, Oscar. In this age of performative machas, hinge hookups, and free wine, we don't need feminist literature. All we need is the Bible. Excuse me, and wired headphones, of course. We don't need investing in silver, gold, or dare I say, diamonds. All we need is a mechanical ladder by the Louvre. Look around you, these anti-capitalist faces you may have seen before at Arts Block, perhaps. With their thrifted pants, second-hand bags, and flea market drinks, the ultimate gatekeepers of fashion. Who's going to tell them that shopping from only thrift stores is consumerism too? Getting piercings and tattoos and a mustache doesn't make you a leftist or any different in the eyes of God. And on God's land, we don't sell out. I may not be a virgin, but I am vowed to be a nun. And even if this house doesn't sell out, don't you worry, don't you worry. Jesus still loves you. Thank you.
I'd like to thank that speaker for a very fine speech and call on Gabe Shewell to continue this debate.
Hope everyone is in good health, unlike my species. Consciousness, space-time, currency. Once upon a time, we ran through the meadows, sparkling through the limelight, singing with the hummingbirds. Now, suffocated by mounting financial stress, we are stuck, hoping, praying for a wormhole, a gateway in this endless tunnel. 1,000 waves, 1,000 ghosts. Their sorrows follow me. The hamster wheel of despair and desperation spins eternally. What beam, what light can dust off the pain that exists from years of putting your penis in bagels because you can't afford the store cream cheese? I am no stranger. I am no stranger to that shadow of struggle. The mirthless reality fending for yourselves entails. Credit cards declining at the first sight of pegging equipment. I just want to feel something again. I just want to remember what pure joy tastes like. Everything has a cost. Penny for your thoughts, nickels for your dreams, dimes for your love. Money is all we have in the pursuit to happiness. And I understand what it means to betray the deep central parts of yourself for material assets. But that part of your soul you're trying so hard to cling on to, like a barnacle clings onto a whale's ass, that part full of supposed childlike wonder, frolicking in the meadows, innocent eyes, innocent heart, it no longer exists. Your inner child has slowly been released from your custody and metamorphosized into instinct and obedience to the machine. The time has come to change our perspectives. The fleeting childhood memories of chasing tumbleweeds and walking in on my grandparents have vanished into the dust. All that is important is what is to come, the shimmer on your future infinity pool, the gleam on the new age meta glasses, and the appreciation of this wonderful blessing of life you've been born into. Quantum mechanics, worlds of atoms clustering, neutrons for electrons, economics, GDP. Hell, you can get a pack of cigarettes in exchange for a hand job. The trade of everything you could want in this material world for one measly slice of the soul that doesn't need to be there, that you won't even miss, that should be extinct. The truth is, selling out is the only path to the golden arches of freedom. Timeless fables of old flow with that knowledge. Adam and Eve, guys, Eve gave into temptation and sold out for an apple. Shared that apple with Adam. Yada, yada, yada. Jesus Christ was born into a life with great blessings, glazed by not one but 3 different wise men, and he gets to come back to life. That's what I want for my son, for my family. I will not let the fog of what is right get to me if it means sacrificing the limits of what I can do for my kin. That pales all else. Think of your blood, your roots, your tree, for Christ's sakes. If you're still reading into the opposition's book of lies, then I ask you, wait. I ask you to stop. Quiet the mind, open the heart. Open the heart, quiet the mind, and let me lend you a pair of prescription glasses and unnail that coffin that selling out isn't the most optimal way forward. I just got a call from my uncle who declined an offer 10 years ago to pose as a shoe salesman for Tarantino's Naked Calendar. Hey, Gabe, I should have sold out all those years ago. Now I'm staring down at the darkest abyss. I'm not sure what I want, but I know it's not this. Hope has left with no swan song. I may sail for the dawn till the darkness has gone. Whoa. What? That is the future that the opposition is offering? That's their horizon? I'd rather shit in my socks and tap dance. That's phooey, a sham, a crux. Tell them to hit the road, Jack. Ray Charles, he was blind. The sun is blinding. We revolve around it once every year. Each time we sit on our own waiting room, different but the same, waiting for summer, waiting for puberty, waiting for the college diploma, first kiss, first job, marriage, kids, retirement, until one day you get up, look around, and realize that you forgot to live. Take the golden platter, eat from the silver spoon, enjoy every moment. The ones closest to your heart will stay. And I know it's tempting to drink what the opposition is pouring. I was once like them, swimming in the sea of flawed assumptions that money wasn't worth pieces of your joy, hope, and soul. That staying true to your beliefs meant more than affording the dinosaur onesie. When I was just 15 years old, I got approached by a man who asked me to suck him clean. I didn't ask how much. I didn't ask at what cost. I said, no, Dad, not while Mom is still alive. And you know what came out of that? What good we got out of that? I had to start going to actual school. Take advantage of your advantages. Money is the water, and selling out is the well. Drink full and ascend into a more prosperous life. If some snooty McSnooterdins look down on you for that, then and so be it. Let judgments and opinions of the mind stay judgments and opinions of the mind. You exist behind that. The you that deserves the car, the you that deserves the meteor protection insurance, the you that deserves to wake up every morning, put your head in between your 2 bloodstained fingers and ask not what do I have to do today, but what can I do today? Because the rainbow floating over your head deserves to be enjoyed and loved and taken in without the umbrella of financial stress, no matter the price. Thank you.
I'd like to thank that speaker for a very fine speech and move on to our final speaker, Professor Neville Cox.
Thanks. Kind of triggered by a bit of that. And I heard some genuinely extraordinary things this evening. I think, and I'm not just talking about the dinosaur with Tourette's, I'm talking... And I'm not just talking about, Oscar, when you said the line, which I think shocked all of us when I was preparing this speech. Wasn't the line about the 20 grand. I think we probably were all predicting something like that. And then the worst line of all, the line which said that barristers don't make money. Well, we do. But what I didn't hear, and this did surprise me, was any reference to anyone actually selling out. It's possibly the advantage of my extraordinary amount of years that I'm aware that it's actually not selling out to want a bit of money. It's not selling out, in fact, to want a lot of money. It's certainly not selling out to want to be the CEO of a company. You can be his Tourette's partner if you want. Selling out is having an ideal and letting it go. Now, it's adorable at your living at home, living off grant age that you would think that actually wanting to have money is a selling out of ideals. It's not. It's the way we live. What worries me, and what I see as selling out, are the people who have ideals and drop them in order not just to make money, but possibly also to make friends, to meet other dinosaurs. That's selling out. And I have watched generations of students come through this place, and I love them. I love the radicalism. When you were introduced, I didn't think they said comedy, I thought they said commie. I was expecting something totally different. I thought you were a Marxist. I love that. I love the dreams. But then I see people become boring. And it can be their own choices. The pursuit of money is fundamentally boring. I see people become boring, but I don't necessarily see them selling out. Selling out is letting go of truth. And I was going to speak about something different, but I've spent the last 3 days speaking at graduations, graduating hundreds of students. We'll do 21 ceremonies. And it could be all the same, because it's the same sort of thing that's happening, but it never is. And this is where real inspiration comes. Because I don't see people in that context who've sold out. I see some people who've had all the luck, but they aren't the interesting ones for me. The interesting ones for me are the people who have had their hearts broken in this place. I'm talking about the people who have dealt with awful health issues, and we see them. I'm talking about the people who have had their hearts broken by people they thought they trusted. And I'm talking about people who have lost parents, who have lost everything. And yet, on that graduation day, which they expect to be just a kind of precursor to coppers, they come in and they relive everything and they regain that idealism. And it's mesmerizing. And I'm talking about people who've exhibited more courage than I would ever be capable of, and do so at a young age, and they re-emerge. And they don't just re-emerge as humans. They re-emerge as people who have a mission, which all university graduates should have. And this is why you shouldn't sell out. Because universities like this one, with all its flaws, and Jesus had his flaws, but with all its flaws, this university, like all universities, has a mission towards truth. That's centrally it. It's a mission to be true to your ideals, whatever your ideals are. I know some people in this university who aren't even lawyers. Some of them are scientists, but they have their ideals. They pursue their ideals and they cling to it. And they do not give in to bullies. That's selling out. Universities have this mission, and their graduates are this mission, pursuing truth and not selling out. And that's always been such a big deal for me. It's always been such a proud moment, watching graduates head out and thinking, yeah, you know what, the world's going to be better. But that was before January of this year. Now the stakes are urgent, because we have a situation where in parts of the world, and obviously I'm talking about America, although in graduations I say parts of the world so as not to offend the Americans, in parts of the world where universities and truth and honor and nobility were always celebrated, they're now being attacked. Where we have universities cravenly and for short-term gain saying, we will let go of our ideals in order to get money, that is selling out. And that is a disgrace. Because who is going to stand up to the bullies and the liars and the wankers if it's not people who are committed to idealism? And so when I think about this university, for all its flaws, what I see ultimately is a commitment to what it stands for. This university paradoxically doesn't sell out. Of course, it admits tourists, but the tourists are paying revenue that go to your education. It's a good deal. That's not a sellout. But it clings to its truth, and our graduates cling to their truth. And what I say to the graduates at every ceremony now is this: your mission is an urgent one. I don't give a shit what your truth is, but you've got to cling to it. Don't be liars. Don't sell out, because the world is burning, and it needs people to extinguish the flames. And that's what you are. Yeah, right on. That's what you are. You've no choice. Whether you are a law student or whatever shit you did before being a law student, you're part of this now. You're funded to be part of it. You're raised to be part of it. And you enter this place with idealism. Don't let it go. You can change your ideals, certainly, but don't be dishonest. And don't ever, ever compromise on truth. All that you're seeing on the television screens, all that's frightening you, all that's angering you about what's happening, that is your idealistic reaction to the abuse of truth. You can't sell out. Far too much depends on it. Far too much depends on it. Thank you.
I would like to thank all our speakers today and all of you for coming this evening. Now we will have a vote on this motion before the House. All those in favor say A. 3, 2, 1, go. I'll give you another shot. All those in favor say A. A. All those against say nay. Nay. Seems the nays have it. Thank you very much for coming. We all like We have a wine reception next door. Thank you at Mary's Afters. That's all.